eve of the budget debate in Germany's parliament. Von der Leyen told the officers military spending would increase to about 1.3% of GDP by 2019, with a goal of 1.5% by 2025. U.S. President Donald Trump in March singled out Germany for failing to meet a defense spending target of 2% of GDP agreed upon between NATO members. The target, and a more general bid for Germany to increase its overall military spending and move away from the non-interventionist traditions of its post-war constitution, has long been on Berlin's international to-do list. Merkel even acknowledged that current spending, at around 1.2% of GDP, raised questions about Germany's credibility, saying that these were ones she too had experienced firsthand, without naming names. "Therefore we must deal with this," she said. Speaking at the same conference, Defense Minister Ursula von der Leyen said the financial figures should not be the only focus, but rather total input. She noted Germany put up a large number of troops by comparison with many other NATO countries. There's strong resistance in Germany to high military spending, which Merkel alluded to on Monday in Berlin. A narrative has arisen where I think all of us, and here I'm talking about all parliamentarians, must be careful, a narrative suggesting that this 2%, or this progression towards 2%, is something that could lead to a militarization of Germany, Merkel said. The people with proper expertise, of course, know that this 2% is not some kind of fetish that has nothing to do with our Bundeswehr. Rather, they know that such a sum is necessary to meet our international tasks and to provide domestic defense. Germany spent about €37 billion, $44 billion, on defense in 2017, the ninth highest defense budget in the world. That sum is scheduled to increase to €39 billion in 2018, rising to €41.5 billion in 2019. According to Germany's Federal Industry Association, BDI, the shortfall in defense spending was mainly due to stronger than expected economic growth last year, which significantly lowered the percentage. Germany is perhaps a low spender in percentage terms, however. The country's former foreign minister Sigmar Gabriel has argued that if the target were revamped to include other factors, such as humanitarian aid and stabilization programs, Germany's gross spending would perhaps rank even higher among NATO member nations. That said, NATO has given its members until 2024 to reach the 2% goal, and it has services preference for replacing the Tornado jets with the F-35 because of its low observable signature and its ability to identify and strike distant targets. I think I have expressed myself clearly enough as to what the favorite of the Air Force is. Given Russian advances in ground-based air defenses and combat aircraft, the general's comments were not surprising from a military point of view. But the general's remarks may well have been a surprise to his government. In December, the Deputy Defense Minister Ralph Brauchsche pushed back against the idea of replacing the Tornadoes with F-35s by simply noting that this was not the position of the federal government. Instead, the ministry stated that the Tornadoes would be replaced with the Eurofighter, an aircraft originally designed in the late 1980s and early 1990s to be an air superiority fighter but which has evolved into a multi-mission platform. Like the Tornado, the Eurofighter is built by a consortium, Germany, Italy, UK and Spain, of European nations. Not that the Eurofighter is a second-rate plane. It can climb at a high rate, it's maneuverable, and it has a maximum speed of well over Mach 2. In each of those categories, it is superior to the F-35, more comparable to the U.S. Air Force's F-15. But that's the rub, it was designed principally for late Cold War aerial combat, dogfighting. Despite upgrades to the Eurofighter, the Russians have modernized their fighters as well, with the Su-35 being perhaps the top non-stealthy, air superiority aircraft in the world today. Add in Russia's advanced integrated air defenses, and you are asking a Luftwaffe pilot to bring a knife, albeit a very capable knife, to a gunfight. There is a reason other European allies, the Brits, the Danes, the Italians, the Dutch and the Norwegians, have opted for the fifth-generation jet over fourth-generation alternatives. In 2016, the Danish government ran a competition between the F-35 and possible alternatives, including the Eurofighter. The conclusion: under survivability and mission effectiveness, the Joint Strike Fighter comes out better than the two other candidates. This is due to a number of factors, including for example the low radar signature of the aircraft as well as the application of advanced systems and sensors that enhance the pilot's tactical overview and ensure the survival of the aircraft and efficient mission performance. Neither plane is cheap. But as aviation industry authority Richard Aboulafia has noted, the Eurofighter had the costs of an F-35 without the modern features. So why the preference for the Eurofighter by the German government? The first and most obvious reason is that, unless there are new orders, The Eurofighter production line in Germany will be forced to close and, with closure, well-paying jobs and expertise will be lost. However, so goes the defense aircraft industry, as American lines for the F-16 and F-18 also face this prospect. Equally important to Berlin, however, is the July 2017 announcement that Germany and France had agreed to work together on the design and production of a new, presumably fifth-generation, fighter jet that would replace the Eurofighter and France's Rafales. Given the emphasis both capitals are now putting on greater defense cooperation within the European Union, it's no surprise that Berlin fears that buying F-35s now might lessen the necessity of developing a new Franco-German aircraft. However, procuring a limited number of medium-term, Germany will have to rely on upgrading the already formidable Leopard 2A7 Plus to counter Russia's next-generation T-14 Armata main battle tank. Longer term, Germany recognizes that it will have to replace the Leopard 2 with a new design in years 2030 and beyond. As such, Berlin has embarked on developing the next-generation main ground combat system, MGCS, in conjunction with France. According to a November 2015 presentation by Armin Popperger, Chief Executive Officer of Rheinmetall, which builds key components of the Leopard 2 and the American M1A2 Abrams, the journey toward MGCS will be an incremental evolution. The first step will be to upgrade the Leopard 2 with a new digital turret core system, new situational awareness system and an active defense system. The tank will also need a new high-pressure 120mm cannon and new ammunition. Popperger expects that the new gun and ammunition will yield 20% better performance than the current L-55 120mm cannon. However, it's not clear how much further the weapon can be extended. There are significant drawbacks to a longer cannon, which is one of the reasons the U.S. Army retains the shorter L-44 120mm cannon for its Abrams. It's possible that Rheinmetall is using new materials to increase the pressure within the cannon without increasing the cannon's length. In the medium term, Germany will have to refit the Leopard 2 with a new 130mm cannon, Popperger said. The 130mm gun is a new concept. Earlier NATO studies had looked at refitting the Leopard 2 and Abrams with a much larger 140mm cannon to counter late Cold War Soviet developments. Nonetheless, the 130mm gun would offer 50% better armor penetration performance than a 120mm cannon. Rheinmetall will kick off the work on the new gun, which is one of the preconditions for developing the MGCS, later this year. Popperger said that work on the MGCS concept development has already started. The new main battle tank is in a concept development phase between the German and French governments and industry. While France is the only current partner, the Germans expect other European nations to jump on board the project. The concept development phase should be completed by 2017. The new MGCS's focus on increased firepower is directly being driven by Russia's Armata program, which many defense officials regard as being particularly problematic. Simply put, the Armata series armored vehicles, particularly with their focus on active protection systems, APS, are forcing Western designer to focus more direct fire weapons. The Armata's Afghanit APS is believed to incorporate at least one type of hard-kill countermeasure designed to intercept incoming projectiles, according to the International Institute for Strategic Studies' Military Balance 2016. This assessment is also backed up by Russian sources, which suggests that the Armata launches interceptor rounds fitted with explosively formed penetrators, which might be effective even against incoming kinetic energy projectiles. However, a
place to the northeast of Frankfurt, Germany. Thankfully, radio contact was re-established before the situation spiraled out of control and the plane was able to land safely at its final destination in London without incident, according to a statement from the airline. Jet Airways has suspended the cabin crew pending an investigation, which the airline says is standard process. As a precaution, the German Air Force deployed its aircraft to ensure the safety of the flight and its guests, the airline said, adding that it has duly reported the matter to the concerned authorities including the DGCA, the Indian Directorate General of Civil Aviation.